everybody. It's Eric McLeod here for LowBlowRadio podcast. Chris wasn't able to watch the show tonight, but I'll still bring you a blow-by-blow here about AEW Dynamite. It was February 17th, 2021. We kicked off with Matt Hardy and Hangman Page teaming together once again to take on TH2, the hybrid two of Jack Evans and Helico. And a real fast-paced, fun opening matchup here. Once again, Matt Hardy and Hangman Page teaming together and actually working fairly well together as a tag team, picking up the victory here once again. Matt Hardy getting the Twist of Fate finish after Hangman kind of running wild on the TH2. And yeah, dominant win for Hangman and Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy got on the mic afterwards, saying to Hangman how well he did in the matchup and stuff like that. And then saying how much money they were going to make together due to their new contract and stuff like that. And Hangman took the mic and said, "Hey, Matt, I don't know how much you were paying attention last week or if you've seen the clip or anything like that, but might want to have a look at the actual contract." They had the contract brought out to him. It was the Jaguars bear mascot that had brought it out there for Matt Hardy. Matt's reading it over, and he did not sign a business contract between Matt Hardy. He actually signed a match contract, and this matchup is going to take place at Revolution between him and Hangman Page, and the match is going to be for all of the earnings that Matt Hardy has made in 2021 in his first quarter, I guess, or up to this point, I suppose, in 2021. Yeah, so it seems like money is on the line here for big money. Matt very upset about this matter and says to Hangman, "Hey, I mean, if you're a man of your word, hey, I'm sure I tried to swindle you, and you seem to get the better of me in this situation. But if we're gonna have this match, you should put something on the line. If I beat you, I'll get your money instead." So looks like they're gonna have a big money match at Revolution. Hangman Page shook his hand and then was instantly turned on by Matt Hardy as he said that he would pay the TH2 to give a beatdown to Hangman Page. The mascot joining in, and it was revealed to be Isaiah Cassidy, and they were laying into Hangman Page, but he was saved by the Dark Order once again with their leader -1 rushing them all to the ring to chase off Matt Hardy and his TH2 goons there with Isaiah. And yeah, and a sort of camaraderie here once again between Hangman and the Dark Order. So I'm sure the business between these two is certainly not over, and we'll see what happens with the big money match at Revolution. This whole kind of night on Dynamite tonight was setting up a lot of stuff for Revolution, so that was kind of a good feeling to see as we were only sort of 2 to 3 weeks away from that pay-per-view. So we had a quick little interview with the Inner Circle leading into Santana and Ortiz's tag team title matchup coming up later on in the evening. More so starting off, though, first with them talking about being here in AEW for 18 months and how it's surprising that they hadn't got a tag team title match until now, but how much they were ready to definitely get into the ring, and saying that the other tag team champions were scared of them, and that they were going to prove something here against the Bucks and take those belts and bring them to the Inner Circle. MJF also talking about Sammy Guevara. Obviously, with all the stuff that went down with him leaving last week, Chris Jericho calling him out on it as well, saying that he was also to blame for a lot of this, but saying that basically Sammy Guevara is dead to him. So yeah, clearly moving forward, the Inner Circle is done with Sammy Guevara. So we'll have to see what plays out as the weeks continue with that story. Moving on with the matches, we had Serena Deeb and Rio in the next one. Before that, though, they had a nice recap of the 4 women's matches that took place on the Japanese side of the bracket to sort of get you all refreshed and caught up with what's going on with this tournament. But so far on the American bracket, this was our second tournament matchup. And wow, what an amazing matchup these two had. They gave them a ton of time to put on a fantastic matchup. These two were just all over the place, so much back and forth. No one really had the advantage. there was just so much at play here. The bigger story moment you would certainly say is Serena's knee coming into it. She had it braced up, and it was certainly affecting her throughout the matchup. Rio not necessarily taking advantage of that in any kind of heel tactics, but just sort of outsmarting her in certain ways, especially with the roll-up finish to get the victory here with Rio's return. And great to see her back in action. I can't believe it's been a year since we've been able to see Rio. I was a big fan of her in her first run as the women's champion in AEW, so fantastic to see her back here. And hey, I might even make her my pick for winning this tournament. I'd like to see, just a big push once again for Rio. So big fan of hers and a big fan of this matchup. Definitely want to recommend that one as one of my favorites. We had a brief sort of workout training montage package with Jade and Shaq leading up to the match with Cody that is coming up on March the 3rd, which was nice to see. Just Jade getting more and more coverage here. She just looks like $1 million and can't wait to see her in-ring debut. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. Back to in-ring action, though, we had Orange Cassidy taking on Luther. And this was a pretty quick matchup, more just sort of a lot of schmozzy stuff involving Serpentico and Luther, as well as Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. So a lot of that sort of all over the place, but Orange Cassidy able to catch Luther with the orange punch and sort of wrap things up pretty quickly for himself there. Moving forward, we had I think the next thing was Sting, they were talking about Sting, how he was going to be confronting Team Taz. Team Taz, though, decided to sort of jump the gun and hit the ring first, saying that, hey, we'd heard as well that they were saying that Sting was going to call us out, and they were sort of a man short. It was just they didn't have Ricky with them, but Team Taz standing strong here. Sting once again hitting the ring. With the whole showboaty stuff and all that kind of stuff. Taz kind of calling him out with the bat, saying that he's going to need that to sort of defend himself against the members of Team Taz. Decides to throw it away, and that was probably not the smartest idea, is that he threw it away and then got into Brian Cage's face. Was getting the better of him at first before Hook got involved, and then Brian Cage hitting Sting with a huge power bomb. So nice to see Sting finally getting physical, getting a little bit of comeuppance, but then Team Taz coming out looking quite strong and big leading into the match at Revolution here. So nice to finally see some actual involvement with Sting and the Team Taz guys. Unfortunately, Ricky Starks couldn't make it. They were saying a nice way to sort of play it in. Again, unfortunate due to the weather conditions in Texas, he wasn't able to fly in. And they said, hey, maybe Sting sent all his snow down to the Texas way to keep Ricky from coming down here to be confronted. So that was had me laughing for sure. We had another promo from Eddie Kingston leading up to the main event, kind of putting it over on his end of things, saying that he just has a lot of unfinished business with Lance Archer, Phoenix, and Jon Moxley, very much so there. And just definitely the classic Eddie Kingston kind of promo, getting you amped up and ready for that main event, which we'll get to at the end here. We had Kenny, a weird little video package with Kenny and Don Callis with Nakazawa, and they were reading to children the Young Bucks book. It was kind of funny, but kind of awkward and strange. Didn't quite know what the laugh was supposed to be, or where the joke was kind of coming from, or where the gimmick was quite going. But again, just kind of playing into this weirder, strange side of Kenny and Don's relationship, I suppose. The kids ending up attacking Nakamura or Nakazawa in the end there, and taking him out. But that ended up being the lead into the tag team title match, the Young Bucks defending their belts against Santana and Ortiz in a real hard-hitting matchup. One of my favorites as well on this episode of Dynamite. Santana and Ortiz really brought it here against the Young Bucks. This was tons of back and forth stuff, a lot of real near falls as well, where I thought Santana and Ortiz might even sneak out a victory, especially considering they had the inner circle there at first, but they had been thrown out, so the odds were in their favor at first, and then they were kind of catching the Young Bucks by surprise, and a big shock victory could have been quite surprising and interesting leading into Revolution, but still the story continues. The Young Bucks keeping their belts, and it will be them instead defending them against the other Inner Circle members of Chris Jericho and MJF, who all ended up coming out at the end and attacking the Young Bucks. We saw Don Callis with the Good Brothers all watching the monitors with Kenny Omega in the back as they were watching it. Kenny Omega very, very upset about it. But you kind of saw that Don and the Good Brothers maybe not as upset as Kenny Omega. Every time he would look back, they would sort of maybe turn a little bit more upset. It was an interesting kind of moment. Don Callis kind of whispering to the Good Brothers, convincing them to go out and sort of not necessarily fight with the Inner Circle, but they sort of chase them off to protect the Young Bucks finally from this beatdown. But yeah, again, the little elements at play, I'm curious to see how it ends up playing out later on with things, but definitely has that match set up for Revolution. We had FTR returning from their suspension to take on Matt and Mike Seidel. FTR, once again, a real hard-hitting matchup here. Matt and Mike Seidel, real, more fast-paced opponents, but the FTR being able to grind them down and ground their high-flying opponents quite a bit and pick up a victory here with the big rig finish once again. But fairly impressed with Matt and Mike Seidel. It'll be fun to see them tagging together more here in AEW. FTR, though, they were getting ready to, keep this destruction down on other tag teams as they grabbed Doc Samson's doctor bag and got the scissors out and were ready to cut Mike Seidel's hair before the lights went dark, and they were interrupted by the Jurassic Express, once again returning to unfinished business with the FTR, obviously laying a real beatdown in on them. I would imagine another match you could assume coming at Revolution, more than likely, or in the coming weeks, if not at that pay-per-view. And a nice video package though with John Moxley as well, piping up the main event before we got to that. Once again, just that classic sort of John Moxley video package, also talking about his match with Kenta coming up on the 26th. So definitely is still getting that sort of rub in for the New Japan crossover there, and looking forward to that matchup. But then we get to the main event here, where Eddie Kingston brought out his family, the Butcher and the Blade, to take on Lance Archer, Phoenix, and John Moxley. I'd have to say a little bit of a repeat of the sort of schmozzy, all over the place craziness we've been getting from these type of matchups as of late, but still a fun end to a Dynamite. It's really hard to complain when you have this amount of amazing talent in the ring. But yeah, I think maybe you would want to see a little bit more actual in-ring action from these guys, but I can get where maybe you're saving that for a later date, and you can save that with a bit more of this schmozzy stuff, and battling outside and all that kind of things. Things were certainly looking up for Eddie Kingston and Butcher and the Blade at certain points, but John Moxley definitely taking the grunt of things from Eddie Kingston in the end, but able to put him away with the paradigm shift, looking big and strong here at the very end. It seemed like things were just about wrapping up there, but then he got attacked out of nowhere by the Good Brothers. Kenny Omega then comes out with Don Callis, as to be expected. Once you've seen the Good Brothers, Kenny is usually not too far behind, has a contract with them, and as we learned from Tony Khan's paid advertisements on Impact Wrestling, he had a Valentine's present for Kenny Omega, and he was revealing that here finally, that present was that somewhere in one of John Moxley's contracts, he had a rematch clause, and that he was bringing that up at Revolution, and that Kenny was fine with that. He was feeling generous and willing to give that match to John, but he was going to pick the stipulation. And since they've kind of run the gamut of stipulations and things like that, and they just can't seem to put this guy away, he just keeps coming on back. He decides to put a whole different bullet into this gun, and announces that him and John Moxley are going to have a barbed wire exploding death match, like FEW style. I'm blown away. I can't wait to see what they end up doing between these guys. I bet you Joey Janela is pissed that he's not the first one to be in one of these barbed wire exploding death matches here at AEW. But geez, I think if you're going to do something crazy in this sort of times where you can't have a ton of fans and you have to have them in this sort of spread out area like they would do with those exploding death matches, like sure, why not go for it? I'm kind of curious to see what they do. You got to top the Stadium Stampede from that last Revolution, right? So why not with a exploding death match? Yeah, this sounds insane. So we'll definitely have to see how that plays out. But yeah, we'll have plenty to cover next week. They had a bunch of great matches, but we'll be back with another blow by blow. Hopefully, Chris is able to watch the show and do the podcast here with me and continue the blow by blows for you. But if not, you can catch us on the radio, 88.7 The River, 7 o'clock on 7 o'clock on Wednesdays. That's Low Blow Radio on 88.7 The River here on YouTube. Thank you for watching. You can like, share, and subscribe. Come back for more videos every week when we put up more blow by blows, and we'll be back next week for more fun here on Low Blow Radio Podcast.